Good evening, everyone, and you're all very welcome to tonight's webinar on part-time study options at NUI Galway. So my name is Nuala McGuinn, and I'm the Director at the Centre for Adult Learning and Professional Development at the University. So tonight we're going to cover some information at our webinar regarding part-time postgraduate courses that are organised through the Centre. And I'm going to introduce you to some of the courses, and I'm going to introduce you also to my colleagues who will be sharing this evening's information session with me. So I'm going to ask my colleagues, Paul Gormley and Majella O'Dea, perhaps if you want to come on camera, and we'll say hi to everyone. And so tonight we're going to cover courses in the area of business and management, early childhood studies, training and education in information technology, and also we'll give you some insight into standalone CPD modules and some specialist courses that you can take as a graduate, maybe shorter term specialist courses for the purposes of upskilling. So just to introduce you to the panel, first of all, the first person I'm seeing here is Suzanne Golden. Suzanne is going to present tonight, and she's going to cover some information on our postgraduate courses in early childhood studies and also some in the area of technology management. Also joined tonight, I am with Majella O'Dea. Hi, Majella. Majella is covering courses in the area of information technology with a particular focus on the discipline of software engineering and database technologies. And last but not least, Paul. Paul is going to talk and cover queries on training and education and leadership development. And also in the background is our colleague Tricia Sweeney. Tricia is going to act as a sweeper role tonight. Tricia will be covering some general queries that you may have in relation to perhaps application processes, maybe fees, or just general queries about our courses. And the format of tonight, it's a short presentation, about 15 minutes, which Suzanne is going to give, and she's going to cover all our programme areas. And then we're going to follow that by a panel session with some questions and answers that you may have, and maybe just some general housekeeping. You're all automatically muted as you come into this webinar, but you have an opportunity to ask questions, and we've already had some, and we were delighted to receive them early. And you can pop them into the chat function on the right-hand side of your screen in the chat panel. You can do that during the course of the presentation, and we'll take them up and answer them as we go through. And if there are more maybe questions that need a little bit more explanation, we can do that at the end, and I can pose that to the panel. Also, earlier today, we got a number of questions in on email that we're going to cover as well in tonight's session, as we find that students like to come back and listen to these recordings and get a sense of what was asked, because sometimes students ask questions that others may not have thought of, but they're really relevant to them. Also to remind you that we're recording tonight's session, and now without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Suzanne. And Suzanne, I'll ask you to do the presentation, and we'll take our questions and answers after the presentation. Thanks.
Okay, Nuala, great. So I'm just going to upload my presentation, upload a copy. So let's see. It should already be in the system, so hopefully it just takes a couple of minutes for our presentation to get loaded into the system. So I think, as Nuala has, hoping to cover a range of the part-time programs through the Centre for Adult Learning and Professional Development. And then we have an opportunity to, discuss some questions or the queries that we often get from students when we're attending and face events. And so, it's great because we understand and we can appreciate the courses or the queries that students would have put to us in the past. Okay, so this is just coming through now, I think. So
yeah,
just
feeding in through now. Yeah.
Okay, great.
We can see that, Suzanne,
great.
From this side.
See that. Great,
yeah,
that's wonderful. Okay. So, good evening, everybody. You're all very welcome to our session this evening, which is part of the university's Postgraduate Virtual Open Day. My name is Suzanne Golden, and as Nuala has already said, I'm a Programme Coordinator in the Centre for Adult Learning and Professional Development at NUI Galway. Also on our panel, as Nuala has mentioned, we have Majella O'Dea, who is the Academic Coordinator of our IT Online courses, Paul Gormley, who is the Academic Coordinator of our Leadership Development and Training and Development courses, and Nuala McGuinn, who's the Director of the Centre for Adult Learning and Professional Development. So our panel members will all be available for our live question and answer session later on. So to get our bearings, let's refer to the National Framework of Qualifications. Here at NUI Galway, we offer courses that provide you with an opportunity to acquire accredited learning that maps onto the National Framework of Qualifications. This evening, we will be looking at postgraduate courses that fall on the NFQ at levels 8 and 9, and that require you to have already successfully completed an undergraduate degree award. So we can see level 7, level 8 and level 9 there. Okay, there are 4 main programme areas that we will be looking at this evening: business and management, early childhood studies, information technology and training and education. Under each of these programme areas, we offer a number of part-time postgraduate courses. In business and management, we have a range of awards on offer for students seeking a professional development opportunity, or for those who require specific business skills to complement their existing qualifications. We have awards at both level 8 and 9. We also offer students an opportunity to specialise in a particular aspect of business, such as leadership development, innovation management, or technology commercialisation. The Higher Diploma in Business Studies is designed to provide non-business graduates with a well-rounded understanding of business and is very suitable if you wish to obtain a business qualification to further your career. This is a fully online course and you will study a range of business modules delivered in the core business disciplines of accountancy and finance, business information systems, business law, economics and marketing and management. Students will complete 60 ECTS credits of learning and graduate with a major award at level 8. Offered over a 2-year period, it is very suitable if you wish to complement your undergraduate degree award with a business qualification. It can also act as a progression route onto a master's degree in business. Our courses in leadership development are all about building your professional competence. Our executive suite of offerings provides a postgraduate progression pathway which enables you to work towards a master's in leadership development. The course content focuses on the development of leadership qualities that are seen as critically important in complex organisations. The programme is specifically designed for those who have managerial or supervisory responsibility and experience. Our leadership development programme offers a structured progression pathway, so students who successfully complete each stage of the programme can progress to the next level. Our recognition of prior learning policy may also allow advanced entry for eligible applicants. Next year's entry for the next entry for the master stage will be in 2020, but the certificate and the diploma will be open for applications in 2021. Our postgraduate level technology management courses have been designed for managers, technical specialists, engineers, or those responsible for managing technologies within their organisations. We have 3 courses that fall under this programme area. Students undertaking the postgraduate diploma in innovation management will learn about innovation and change and how these affect business organisations. The postgraduate diploma in technology commercialisation will provide you with the business planning skills and knowledge needed to commercialise new technologies, products and services. Both of these courses take 1 year to complete. The Masters in Technology Management will enable you to develop knowledge and understanding of the increasingly important area of technology management, whilst also building management and leadership capabilities. The Master's Award is normally achieved over 2 years, but can be extended further if that suits your particular circumstances. Students who complete the postgraduate diplomas and who wish to progress onto the Master's programme can do so and gain exemptions on some of the Master's modules. Our Technology Management programme is offered in conjunction with University College Cork. The next intake of the Master's programme will be in 2020, but the postgraduate diplomas have an annual intake. So now moving on to our early childhood studies discipline. Our postgraduate courses in early childhood studies offer students the opportunity to explore issues of importance to the early years sector and to develop advanced skills and knowledge that will enable them to support young children. All of our courses are offered at level 9. Graduates who successfully complete our Masters in Early Childhood Studies are well placed to take on leadership and developmental roles across the early years sector. These can include, for example, mentoring or inspectoring, teaching and research, policy development, advocacy and support, as well as the management of early years settings. This part-time course can be completed in 2 years. Students will undertake 9 academic modules and a research dissertation. The course is delivered using a blended learning approach, which combines face-to-face teaching with online and self-directed learning. It also offers exit awards for those who don't wish to complete the thesis component. So students undertake 6 modules in year 1 of the programme, and then in year 2 they undertake an additional 2 modules and a research dissertation. And we also offer exit awards for students who do not wish to complete the full Masters in Early Childhood Study. So lots of flexibility built into that programme. Our postgraduate certificate and postgraduate diploma in practice-based play therapy are offered in collaboration with the Academy of Play and Child Psychotherapy. These courses offer participants the opportunity to develop the necessary skills to work therapeutically with children as professional play therapists or to establish their own play therapy service. We have 2 modes of delivery for these courses. In the first, the face-to-face teaching component is delivered as a 15-day summer school programme from the NUI Galway campus. In the second mode, the attendance component is delivered on a phased sequential basis of 5 3-day weekend workshops. And the block sequential model is delivered in our outreach locations in both Dublin and Cork. Students undertaking our play therapy programme will undertake 3 academic modules and 1 clinical practice component in each stage. In the clinical practice modules, students will undertake supervised play therapy clinical practice with children. It will take students at least 20 months to successfully complete each stage of the courses. So now moving on to our IT Online programme. Under this umbrella, we have 2 courses that we'd like to present this evening. Our Diploma in Software Engineering and our Masters in Software Engineering and Database Technologies. So what are the characteristics of our IT Online courses? Well, these courses are delivered on a 100% online paced learning model, which means that you can study from anywhere that you can access the internet. As the courses are part-time, they also offer flexibility and a workload that is manageable as you juggle work and family commitments. The courses are delivered in 8-week learning cycles, with students undertaking 1 module at a time. During those 8-week learning cycles, students will have weekly assignments and will be required to participate in online discussions facilitated by the module tutor. Students will also undertake an online exam at the end of the 8 weeks before moving on to the next module. So let's look at the courses in a little more detail. In the Diploma in Software Engineering, students will develop skills, knowledge and competencies in software engineering areas which are in high industry demand. And this course is ideal for those who wish to reskill in the software development space. On successful completion, students will be awarded a Level 8 diploma of 30 ECTS credits. Students undertaking the course will complete 5 modules over 1 academic year. Successful graduates will also be eligible to progress on to the Masters in Software Engineering and Database Technologies with exemptions. Our Level 9 Masters in Software Engineering and Database Technologies offers students an opportunity to achieve a master's qualification in a highly sought after area. It is suitable for those who wish to transition to a career in the software and database sector, or for those already working in that sector who wish to gain a recognised qualification. This course takes 2 years to complete and students undertake 11 modules to accumulate 90 ECTS credits. Students who have successfully completed the Diploma in Software Engineering may be exempted from 30 credits of the modules on the Master's course. So our IT Online programme offers a very attractive progression pathway, which offers students flexibility on how they wish to undertake their learning. Students who successfully complete the diploma in software engineering may progress to year 2 of the master's programme and will be exempted from the modules in year 1 of the master's course. Students can of course enrol directly into the master's programme if they do not wish to undertake the diploma, but should note that they will not then have the option to get the diploma award at the end of year 1. And now we move on to our final discipline this evening, which is training and education. There are 3 courses that we would like to highlight from this category. First, we have our professional diploma in education, further education. This 2-year programme allows participants to gain both an NUI Galway diploma in training, as well as securing a Teaching Council accreditation number on completion of the course. The course is suitable for applicants who identify as tutors, instructors and trainers who are currently working in the further education and training schools and centres and who wish to obtain both an NUI Galway professional diploma teaching qualification as well as Teaching Council accreditation, which allows participants to practice in education training boards or further education and training workplaces. Our Masters in Adult Learning and Teaching is a progression route from the Level 8 Professional Diploma in Education, Further Education. It offers applicants a pathway to a Level 9 Master's qualification. Advanced entry applicants from the Professional Diploma in Education for Further Education will receive a 30 ECTS exemption via the university's recognition of prior learning protocol. This course includes a minor dissertation project and is designed for qualified teachers working in the further education and training sector. The Masters in Adult Learning and Development is suitable for education, training and human resource practitioners who seek to accelerate their professional development, specialise in key educational themes and enhance their career prospects, whilst also working towards a master's qualification in lifelong learning. The course is delivered part-time over a 2-year period using a blended learning approach. In year 2, students will undertake a minor dissertation, which can be strategically targeted towards the participant's career pathway or an industry setting. Okay, and so now to highlight our continuous professional development opportunities. So to support continuous professional development, we have a wide range of modules that can be taken on a standalone basis. This is a great way to upscale or to get a flavour of our delivery style. If you progress to a full award course, you may be able to gain exemptions for modules taken on a CPD basis. Most of the courses discussed here this evening offer modules on a standalone basis. In addition to those standalone modules which can be taken for continuous professional development, we also offer a range of special purpose awards which are particularly suitable for students requiring medium-term upskilling for career advancement or for those interested in focused study in an in-demand subject area outside their original study domains. Our special purpose diplomas can all be completed in 1 year and all are delivered using our blended learning model. So a number of our courses offer limited scholarships. A scholarship is available for each of the postgraduate diploma courses in technology management in conjunction with the 30% Club. This scholarship scheme supports the development of female leadership in the technology sector and promotes diversity and inclusion at senior levels in technology organisations by offering scholarships to eligible women. Each scholarship is worth 100% of the course fee, so a really valuable route to a funding opportunity there. We work closely with the Next Level SkillNet to offer fee reductions in a number of our postgraduate courses. And each year, a number of our postgraduate courses are provided with Springboard Funding. This government-supported scheme enables us to offer up to 100% funding to those who are unemployed, or up to 90% funding for those who are employed. So again, a great opportunity to access support in your upskilling endeavours. And finally, the Centre for Adult Learning and Professional Development itself offers a tuition scholarship of a 30% fee reduction to eligible students in receipt of certain supports from the Department of Social Protection. Full details on all our funding and scholarship opportunities are available on our website. So just to reiterate, all of our courses are delivered using a fully online or blended learning modes, ensuring a flexible approach to course delivery and access to course materials, regardless of your geographic location. So why NUI Galway? Well, at NUI Galway, we recognise the challenge of returning to education. So we offer a range of specialist support services to ease the transition. Our aim is to offer a high quality learning experience to all our students. Taking a part-time course with NUI Galway means that you can study at your own pace and fit your study around your work and personal life. We have over 50 years of experience delivering to adult learners. Our tutors are all experienced educators who have an interest in working with adult learners. We recognise the challenge of returning to education and we offer specialist support services. And we also offer a high quality learning experience. Our aim is to enable you to study at your own pace and to fit your study around your work and personal life. So check out our website and our social media channels for further details on all our postgraduate courses. So now I think I'd like to thank you for your attention, and now with our panel I'd like to open up the session to questions from attendees. So as Nuala said at the start, please add your question to the chat panel on the side and one of our panel members will be able to address it for you. Okay, thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, Suzanne. That sounds good. I might ask you perhaps to stop sharing. Yeah, wonderful. Thanks so much. Okay, we'll let you catch your breath. That was a fairly comprehensive whistle-stop tour of what we're offering at the Centre for Adult Learning and Professional Development. Just picking up one or two quick things before we kind of jump into questions. One or two participants had asked about courses. One was in health economics, another one was marketing, and I think another one was in global and media communications. So just to explain, the presentations have been going on all day today for our virtual Postgraduate Open event, and a number of those courses have already been presented on earlier today. So the fact that you have missed them isn't a problem, because I want to remind you that all of the recordings for the other programs that you might have had a particular interest in will be available within the next day or so. If you go back onto the university website and just check out the postgraduate-open-day URL, so nuigalway.ie/postgraduate-open-day, all of the presentations are listed and there will be a link to the recording within the next 1 to 2 days. So go in tomorrow and check out that particular course. If it wasn't presented here tonight, make sure you pop in again to the website and get an opportunity to review the recording. So that was kind of one question that has come up. I just wanted to kind of jump in on one other. It was in relation to international students, and there was a query whether part-time courses were available to international students. So obviously for international students, for those who want to travel to Ireland, there are visa requirements, and generally part-time courses don't meet those visa requirements. However, any of our fully online programs would be open to international students. So if that's you should definitely take a look at what's offered fully online, because absolutely you are able to apply and participate. Travel won't be a requirement of those. So there were just kind of one or two things to query that were queries, and I just wanted to kind of clear them up beforehand. And just coming into, we had a number of questions that we received through email today earlier on, and I just wanted to kind of come into them and maybe start our panel with those questions, and perhaps then if there's anything in the chat that is not answered or specific, I'll take a look at those as well. So maybe I'll just jump right in. I mean, I just love this question. It comes up every time. Assessment, and I know it puts a smile on everyone's face or a tear to anyone's eye. But our part-time learners are what I would term time poor, and that is such a big challenge for people. And assessment is one of those maybe fear factors, or one of those things that you feel, oh, where will I get the time to study and do all my assignments? So we have in the centre, devised a formula whereby a lot of our courses are continuously assessed. So the exams is not the biggest thing for us. So maybe I'll just pop that question to Majella to begin with. Majella, in the IT programs, can you tell us a little bit how they are assessed and how students are managing that continuous assessment?
Yeah, hi everybody. Thanks, Nuala. Yeah, by all means, what happens, for example, in a module in IT online, there will be a rubric at the start. So there will be discussions every week, and they will make up a proportion of the final grade. So maybe 20% will go towards weekly discussions. Then every week there will be an assignment, and over the run of the 7 content weeks, that might make up 50% of the module. So we 50% for assignments, 20% for discussions, and then the remainder will be made up from the exam. So 30% will depend on the exam. And in our case, the exam runs over the week. So it's really a large assignment, and
yes,
you can do it in your own time, but submit it by a certain deadline.
Yes, so open book. So it's not that big kind of timeline and deadline of going into an exam hall, which can be very fearful for students. And I appreciate that. Paul, in relation to, say, general assessment in whether it's business and management or training education, how is assessment carried out on those programs that you're involved in?
Well, I think the audience will be delighted to hear that that we don't do anything in formal examinations, but we do continuous evaluation and all of those sorts of areas. Mm-hmm. So basically, we would do sort of group assignments, doing blogs, doing business cases, doing a lot of all different bits and pieces that sort of come together as a sort of a mini portfolio of continuing assessment and assignments and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So we always get a kind of a bit of a yahoo when we hear that there aren't any more sit down examinations, but it's really good because it's very, very flexible. And what we do really when we have our students coming into us is that because it's at a postgraduate sort of area, we like to sort of put any assignments that we have there to sort of to mirror what our students are doing in the workplace or are intending to do in the workplace, so that we sort of set up the assignment or the blog or whatever it is like that, but we hand it over to the students so that they can sort of use this assessment so that possibly they can do some transferable skills around it and bits and pieces there. But we really we sort of value our students, and we want them to be able to take as much as they can out of the programs, so that it's very sort of I suppose it's very much sort of bespoke to every single teacher or student that we have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think students really value the opportunity to be able to apply the learning from the content of the course directly into the workplace. And if there's an opportunity in the workplace to do an assignment on a practice that they want to improve or a project there, it's a great opportunity. So that work and learn piece is really important to us, and I think that's really important. And I think also when students talk about the planning they need to do to be able to submit their assignments, they really value knowing when the assignments are submitted. And I think we like to give students a good set of deadlines, but well in advance, so that they can make them. And there's always an opportunity to say, to come back to us if there's a challenge with any of those deadlines. So I think assessment should not for sure be the fear factor. One of the other things we talked a lot about, and I know, Suzanne, in your presentation, you talked about the different stages that we design our courses around. So there were certificate and diploma stages. What has your experience been of the value of that for learners, and why has that been so popular, such that we're designing around that now at the moment?
Yes, Nuala, great question. And I suppose really the beauty of having a progression pathway means that students have options to exit the programme at different stages. So sometimes somebody may not be sure as to whether a delivery style or a certain method of teaching suits them. And rather than committing to a longer type of programme, they can, trial the shorter version, pick up the award, and then realize this is actually something that really works for me, and then they're able to move on to the next stage at the program. So they're not at a disadvantage, enrolling on something and then finding that after X number of months, when they've invested time and money into a program, that that they feel that that's a lost effort. So I think it just takes away that fear factor and leaves people with doorways. And it also, I suppose, allows people to take some time away from a program and to come back and join it at a later pace. So I suppose we're really building flexibility into what we offer. And I think students can, from what we hear on the ground, students really appreciate to have that flexibility and those options open to them, because, we know with adult learners that, so many things crop up. You've got family and life commitments and work commitments and some of those are unexpected. I mean, we've had the range of scenarios arising with students that we have on our programs. So what we would always say to students is come and chat with us. We'll talk you through the options that you have, and there are always options. And I think students are always relieved to hear that we're happy to work with them, and the university is happy to work with them on finding a route for them so that they eventually get to the destination that they had intended.
Yes, and I think that's really important. And this whole concept of time and the challenges around time. And I think Amy has a great question there around time. And I think, Paul, I might put it to you. It's in relation to leadership development. And Amy's wondering just how many evenings, are there evenings per week? How many hours commitment would you need to kind of save or allocate if you were to take on a course like that?
Sorry, I missed a bit of that there, Nuala, but I think you're talking about the amount of hours that somebody would need in a postgrad.
Well, just two parts to the question. Part A is there a time commitment, like designated evenings that somebody has to commit to? And the second part of the question is a notional number of hours that would be required in the week to study the content.
Yeah, well, I mean, because it's a postgraduate sort of program, the students should recognize that at the start and know that when they're signing up to something, that there is some input that comes into this. I mean, when people are doing some, so in terms of the delivery, for example, shall we say, we would in the past have a 2-day workshop, and but because and we were in blended learning mode, but because now we've gone to the full online load, it's been good and bad. It's given us challenges and stuff like that. But what it has allowed us to do is to use more of the synchronous kind of technologies that we have. So we will perhaps have, say, every sort of like second or third week there will be a webinar, or there'll be somebody presenting what they're doing and bits and pieces like that. That will always be sort of recorded as it comes back into us. And then when we do the workshops themselves, it's really good because we do some things which we call flipped learning, where the students get their some tasks to do beforehand, and then they come in, and then it's really when we're doing the workshops, it's very much around a relationship building within the group and stuff like that. So in terms of the numbers, I would say that every sort of, I think for somebody people would want to be sort of doing stuff 1 or 2 hours a night at minimum at the start, and then it'll as things go ahead, the students themselves will sort of work to their own schedule. I mean, it's you know, if something is a 5 credit module, and nominally it's 200 hours, and if it's the 10, it's sorry, it's 10. It's the 200 hours. Sorry,
that's right.
Yeah, and 100 for the 5. Now the good thing is it's a notional number, but it's something that we sort of adhere to. So it's just around sort of, I suppose, you know, maybe making time, you know, in terms of like managing your time and work and stuff like that is hard. So I would always say sort of like for each day in the middle of the week, you would do something that would be like 1 or 2 hours at the very least, and then you would do something more sort of substantial in the weekends. So it is something that people need to manage kind of quickly. But you know, all of our students they're okay. That, you know, that they're all here for a reason, particularly on the leadership bit. So yeah, I think it's just really time management is something that is very important. But if you can get it done quick, I think it's something which is the big barrier that you would you know, you would have got rid of.
Yeah, I need to plan for. And I think so generally we're talking about 10 to 15 hours a week. And I suppose the other thing to remember is our terms are quite short. They're from September to December is term 1. There's a big break at Christmas, and then term 2 is typically the middle of January to the end of May. So, you know, it's 14 weeks either side of Christmas, if you like. So if you can plan for that time scale in those 2 terms, and remember you've the summer free, I think that gives you a bit of recovery time, and it gives you a sense that the end is nigh if it is a struggle, and it will be a struggle, and I don't think we can deny that. It can be challenging, particularly with family and work and other demands, but it's certainly worth a while around that. And I think the other piece is around it is that we do think that when students are coming up to an assignment submission or a written exam, if there is an exam in it or whatever, that there's more effort involved, but yet at the end the recovery is in sight. There's a point where, you know, you'll finish, and I think that's pretty important.
Just jump in there to add to that as well.
Absolutely.
Just so another point that comes to mind, just to kind of flag that, you know, the programs that we offer, they will all have their schedules planned out at the start of the year. So students can, you know, will be able to map where they're supposed to be, what module is being delivered at which time of the year, and they'll know well in advance when they're going to have any live you know, classes that they'll need to attend, whether they be online or whether they would be face to face. So I think that's really useful to have all that information in advance. It really helps with the planning of how you're going to interact with the program.
Yeah, that's for sure. Michela, I have a specific question in relation to the IT course. A student was inquiring today in relation to not having experience in software engineering, and would they be able to do the course? So you might talk us through maybe the entry criteria on that one, and for somebody who's a non-technical graduate, what you would be typically looking for.
Sure. So absolutely, if your background isn't in software engineering or in databases, you're still welcome to apply. The courses, the IT online courses, are designed particularly for people who want to convert. So they're starting at the fundamentals. They're starting at the basics and building up from there. So the other thing is that doesn't mean that if you have lots of knowledge in the field that there isn't information to learn here. There is, but it's just that we start from scratch to bring everybody up. And what tends to happen is we get a lively mix of students in the class, some who have little or no experience, some who have lots of experience, and they learn from each other. Everybody's used software, so we all know lots about what works well, what doesn't work well. So in terms of the entry criteria, we look for a level 7 qualification and 2 to 3 years of work experience, but all work experience counts.
Great. That's always good to know. All experience is relevant. Those grey hairs, Magella, are standing for something, is what I say to every student who comes to us. We acknowledge them. We might have a few more of them now with no hairdressers, unfortunately. One question that comes in a lot is in relation to prior learning, and I know you've touched on it, Magella. All experience counts. Perhaps I'll throw it back out to the panel on generally on recognition of prior learning. What advice would you offer candidates? I see you nodding there, Suzanne. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. I can start off with it anyways, Nuala. Well, I suppose, yes, the university has a recognition of prior learning policy. So I suppose what that means is that we are open to recognising that learning can be acquired in lots of different scenarios. So people have, obviously undertaken previous courses and have awards already in place for that. Students, though, can acquire learning from other scenarios, from their work, from their experience. So a number of our programs do offer opportunities for students to have that learning recognised, and that may be in terms of meeting the eligibility criteria to apply for a programme. It may also mean that if somebody has done a course somewhere else, that they may be able to apply for exemptions against some of the modules on the programmes that we offer. In some cases, students might be eligible for advanced entry to a programme. So if they've done a qualification somewhere else, they may be able to skip the first stage or the first phase of a programme that we offer. So our progression pathway, rather than starting at the beginning, you might jump in somewhere in the middle. And we have a process around how we do that. So what we normally would suggest is if somebody thinks that might be something they want to explore, that they should reach out to the course coordinator, and the course coordinator will advise the individual as to what the options are. They'll give them, some kind of a heads up in terms of whether, what they have already, be it certified learning or their experience, whether both of those combined might have currency, I suppose, in relation to offering some elements of as I say, exemptions or advanced entry for the programme that they're interested in. I don't know if any of you guys want to add to that.
Yeah, and I know, Paul, you've had direct experience of that this year, where you've had students in the leadership go into the diploma. Do you want to fill people in a little bit, or what was the background to that?
Yeah, well, because the leadership sort of pathway, I suppose, it goes from 30 certificate or 30 ECTS for the certificate. Sorry, then we got another 30 for the diploma, and then it's the MSc. Well, so we had a number of people who have come up and seen what we're doing, and like quite often they come in and say, can we do sort of RPL here or there or whatever. But so we had people who had a previous certificate with 30 credits in a leadership area before they came to us, but that was exactly the requirement that we needed for them to go to the next progression, which was the diploma. So it was really great and gratifying to see that these people are coming in with a lot of skills. They want to not just stay with the certificate, they want to push on, but they had the pathway to get in there. They didn't have to do the first one again, and they were really pleased because the other another provider that they went to didn't have the same agility that we have around the RPL in that particular area.
Okay, and that's really helpful to give pathways to students. One question I see in the chat, and it's an interesting one in relation to practice and practicing what we learn. And while we don't in our courses in adult learning provide work placements, because typically our students are in work and they're coming to upskill from work or in the workplace, However, we touched on it earlier, provide an opportunity for students to link the learning with the workplace. And I think a great example of that is perhaps where students on a master's program might have an opportunity to do their research thesis around an area that's linked to their work. And I know, Magella, a lot of the students in IT are taking the workplace as a great opportunity to develop further their ideas. Can you give us a little bit of example of maybe projects that students have done to bring the workplace and the theory more aligned and into something that's tangible for the employer and where they've been able to develop their skills?
Yeah, there's been a very wide variety. So we've had students doing theses on Bitcoin. We've had students doing theses on financial areas. Students working in the pharma sector have done a lot of research in brain disorders and various medical research, really, but they've been tying it together with maybe machine learning and bringing software into it or databases into it. There's somebody doing one this year on COVID data and gathering data and mining that data to extrapolate the results. So there's a huge variety, and students often find that if they can tie it back to their workplace, that their employer will fund them for that year of the course. Yes. And that works out well. And then we've had students doing them based on just personal hobbies. You know, we had one who gathered data from bees, so and analysed it, but they had a little thing that they could track the bees and mine the data then. So
you can follow your passion, is what you're saying, around
your passion, and when you do, then you find it a lot easier to finish it.
Yes, and I'm really hearing what you're saying there, Magella, is that students through their project or through what you described there, the thesis, have an opportunity to do primary research with their companies, and then of course the secondary research. And Suzanne, you listed a whole load of specialist diplomas in your presentation, and they varied from corporate environmental planning down to technology enhanced learning. And in a lot of our science specialist diplomas, there's a project module where where those students have the opportunity to carry out a piece of work that's based on the workplace. So I think again, there's the practice element there.
Absolutely. And again, those specialist diplomas are in in-demand areas. They're niche areas, growing areas that, our links with industry have shown us that these are areas that are in demand. So, there's a great opportunity for an individual to do a project on something that is linked to this topic, and it just increases their employability, because now not only have they done the modules associated with the program, but they've also had an opportunity to delve deeply into maybe a linked topic in that area, and that's all about increasing your employability, making yourself, I suppose, stand out from the crowd. And that's the beauty of those specialist diplomas and what they offer to people who are doing something outside of what might have been their original qualification domain.
Yes. So. And of course, those diplomas are short term, but they're also based on industry collaboration. So we've had industry asking us to design courses in these specialist topic areas so that they can upskill their workforce. Do you want to chat a little bit about the Springboard funding that's available through those courses? I'm happy to maybe give some examples of what we've got funding for in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in fact, a number of the programs that we've talked about here tonight have had, in the past year, have had Springboard funding. And, and that's, as I say, it's a great opportunity for individuals to access programs that are, in high demand areas, that are in niche areas, that are in growth sectors. And for example, our diploma in software engineering, our postgraduate diplomas in innovation management and technology commercialization, a number of our specialist diplomas and special purpose awards were all eligible for Springboard funding this year. And as I mentioned earlier, if for under Springboard funding, students who are unemployed may be able to get 100% of the cost of those programs covered. But if you're employed equally, you can have up to 90% of the funding covered. Now, that doesn't often happen, you know, in many program areas. So it's a wonderful opportunity for people to, you know, get that step up the ladder and you know, access high demand topics. And also to get an accredited qualification from a university at the end of it. I think, you know, that's a real bonus to this. Not only do you get the learning, but you get, you know, an award that has really good currency and again contributes to your overall employability.
Yes, for sure. And I see a question from Amy, and it was slightly touched on early in relation to, you know, blended learning courses. And I thought I'd be able to get through the night without mentioning the C word, COVID, but I can't. And I'm going to say it because I suppose what we need to look at is how we ran our courses before COVID and how we're running them during COVID. And I think it's the before and hopefully the after. But let me answer Amy, and I know that you had that query was in relation to before COVID, our blended learning courses, we did run them on campus. Students would come maybe on a Friday, typically a Saturday though. It was time when they didn't need to, it was at a time when they wouldn't need to take time off work. But and they would only come maybe once, twice a month the most. It did depend now on what course you did, but typically once or twice a month. However, during the last year, everything has been fully online, and we've had no physical classes on campus. And we will revert back to our blended learning model for a number of our courses when we can, but it isn't this term, and you know, we've yet to see how the summer will pan out and how next semester pans out. But typically we did have some face-to-face contact for a lot of our courses. A number of them, like in our IT area, we have Irish studies, we have some of our languages that never were taught on campus, they were always fully online. But for the most part, we did have a face-to-face component, and we will come back to that when we can. And but just at the moment, as you might appreciate, it's a little bit unsure. But we do make sure that students know what their timetables are in advance, that if they did have to take a Friday off, for example, they'd be well versed in that and they would know when it was taking place. But for the most part, our campus courses would take place on the weekends. So we do try and make sure that students do not have to take a lot of time off work. And I think that that's really important for them. One other question that has come in is in relation to scholarships, and Suzanne, you mentioned a number of them there. We have our own adult learning scholarship for students who are receiving payment from the Department of Social Protection. We have scholarships in relation to the 30% club. Do you want to give a little bit more information on that one, Suzanne? Because that's kind of one of our ones that we've been taking up and have had good interest in the last 2 to 3 years, the 30% club.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the 30% club is again a super opportunity for women to actually access funding that enables them, a significant portion of the tuition cost to be covered. And in fact, this coming year, the full cost of our postgraduate diplomas in innovation management and one in technology commercialization will be covered by this particular scholarship. So the idea is to increase the diversity of the workforce, and in particular to promote female leadership in high-tech companies or in demand industries. So anybody who is interested in first of all the particular programs that the 30% club scholarship is being offered in, should really explore this particular scholarship. And if they are in a role that where they are trying to develop their leadership skills, develop their management skills, and move up the ladder, then those particular programs may be something that would be of interest to them. And students to apply to the program will be asked to prepare a personal statement, kind of outlining what their particular personal agendas are, where they hope to get in their career, and submit that along with their application to the program. And then all of those applications that are submitted by the deadline date will be assessed, and those deemed eligible will be invited to interview. So that's how the process works. So
Yeah.
again, we've had a huge interest last year. We had a super range of individuals apply for the programme, and it was, you know, really encouraging to see so many individuals who, you know, were keen to kind of access that particular funding.
Okay, so that sounds like a great opportunity and one to spot. And again, thanks, Tricia, you've popped that URL into the chat, so please keep an eye on the application form for that and make sure to apply if it meets your criteria for application. And there was one other question, and it was just somebody who's popped into the meeting and webinar and wondered about secondary school education. So there was a session earlier today on education and postgraduate studies, and that will be available tomorrow or the next day, the recording. Again, it's on the URL nuigalway.ie/postgraduate _open_day. So just go back into the website and take a look at that. But maybe just on that question, we do have a postgraduate diploma in professional further education, and it is one that people will do for teaching in the further education sector. So I'm just going to check back in with Paul there, and whether he wants to, maybe Paul, do you want to give a little bit of insight into the professional diploma in education for the further education sector, just as another opportunity to talk about you know, education for the FE sector?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is a great program. It's goes over 2 years. It's a level 8. People who come into it for further education, they have to have a degree before that, and it's accredited by the Teaching Council of Ireland, and so that that we're sort of recalibrating that along their sort of new sort of parameters at the moment. So we're really excited about doing this. So within the two different areas, you'll have stuff like putting together sort of quality assurance bits and pieces, looking at sort of putting together design, professionalism, looking at stuff like sort of I suppose the it's the sorry now I'll sorry we have a special placements in the second year, so we get 3 or 4 people who are really good in terms of following up with you in your school dates. You'll have to get your own school sort of placements yourselves, but I mean that's all part of the journey, I suppose. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's very well managed program, and yeah, it's something that it's one of the, I suppose, the shining lights in our portfolio, I guess I would say.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's opportunities for micro teaching where students get a chance to practice their skills in small group settings. They get some peer feedback and of course feedback from the course director, and then they have an opportunity to go out and practice in the workplace. So great opportunity there for the FE sector, which is a growing sector. Lots of various courses running, some of them with industry, others in preparation for higher education. So I think it's definitely an area that's developing. I'm conscious of coming up to,
sorry, Nuala, can I just and also that there is an MA that comes out of here. It's a 1 year adult learning and adult learning and teaching. Now this is a really interesting one because it allows you, when you come out of the professional diploma, rather than having to do 90 credits, there's an exemption for 30 if people come through the professional diploma. So we have 2 diplomas, we have 2 masters on our books. One of them is specifically for the people who have come out of the professional diploma, and so they can get a master's in a year. So that's really sort of, I think, enticing for people who are going to be looking to teach in further education and training, but also who can do a master's at the same time. And that master's is taught in some parts, but there's a minor dissertation there as well, which would make you very, very credible in the workforce.
Okay, sounds great. So great progression pathway again. So I'm conscious we're coming up to our final minutes on the webinar. I'm just wondering, just as a kind of a closing thoughts, what would you consider advice? What's the key piece of advice would you like to give our listeners this evening and those who will review later on, about those who are kind of thinking about going to do postgraduate study? Majella, what's your key take-home piece of advice for people?
My key take-home piece of advice is, if you're interested in something, first get in touch, read the details on the websites, but get in touch with ourselves, and we're more than happy to give you any further advice and to tell you if you'd be a suitable candidate, or maybe what you would need to emphasize in your application.
Yeah, great. So very practical. And I think we do find that when we talk to learners and survey them, they take about 3 to 6 months to get the course information before they actually start the course. So I think what you're saying, Majella, is it's never too late or too early to start.
Not. We've applicants of all different age groups, and often the older, the more interesting.
That's it. Well, for sure. Suzanne, any thoughts before we finish on your side?
Yeah, well, I think just a couple of points. What I'd say to somebody, if you're thinking of coming back or coming to do a postgraduate level course, is do your research. Check what's out there. Check what courses are available in the subject area that you're interested in, and compare them. See, do they meet your own personal circumstances and your scenario? You know, what flexibility is built into it? What are the subjects that will be covered in the courses? And if you find something that you really think you're interested in, reach out to the course coordinators, you know, ask questions, because we're always there and available to, you know, answer specific points that students may have further questions on. So don't ever be afraid to reach out. And then I suppose the final thing is, if you do find a course that you are interested in and it is the right time for you, do it. Don't be hesitant, you know, because students who have undertaken postgraduate level studies, you know, the feedback we get from them at the end of that is just fantastic. They're always so happy that they took that leap of faith, and, you know, that they have, you know, and often we find our adult learners are, you know, super achievers because, you know, they've been around the block. They have, as you said before, they have all this wealth of experience to bring to the assignments that they do. And our tutors who work with us always say that they're so happy to work with adult learners, because often the tutors learn so much from the students that are on the program. So I'd say just go for it.
Very good. Good, strong advice. And finally, Paul, what's your view on all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a great history in terms of adult learning in NUI Galway, and we have a wonderful support group, you know, in the centre. And so we very rarely lose people on our programs, you know, and because we do kind of have a sort of a pastoral type of a sort of I suppose orientation to it. But I would kind of say, if you are going to do this and it's, you know, in a postgrad, what you're doing is you're investing in yourself. And when you in and you kind of think, well, maybe I should be here, maybe I shouldn't, you know, you won't know that until the first module you've done in your marks and stuff like that. But the main thing is that, you know, you will have landed then. You would be not sort of being ambiguous around what you've done. You'll have done it. You are kind of, you know, investing in yourself, and go along with the ride, because you're going to be a different person the time you're coming back home, and it will be really satisfactory for you. I'm absolutely sure.
For sure. And I think all of that is really great advice. And I hope people are thinking about that in terms of the positivity that they can gain. The other piece I would add is that I would suggest you talk to your employer, you talk to your line manager, tell him or her what you're thinking of doing and see the course that you're doing. Where does it fit with the strategy of the unit you're working in? Or what are the future skills that your unit is looking to develop? Because we know that 70% of our adult learners who go back to study are doing it for professional reasons, and they're willing to invest the time, but they'd like to see something at the end of it. So again, I would say position yourself in your company, talk to your line manager, talk to those in your learning and development team if it exists, and tell them what you're interested in doing and see what kind of skill sets they're interested in design, I suppose, accruing over the years, because they'll have their strategies as well. So tell people, I think that's always a good a piece of advice, and also it'll help you maybe pick the course that you might be interested in. One final thing to say, I want to say a big thanks to Tricia, who's been working very hard in the background on the chat, answering questions and providing really useful links to hook up with the conversation we've just had. All our course details are on our adult learning website, nuigalway.ie/adult learning. Our course contact details for every program, there's a contact name who you can talk to and get some more information. I know we're working all remotely, but doesn't matter. You drop us an email, we can set up a call with you if you want to talk in a one-to-one and would feel more comfortable doing that. We're more than happy to engage in any form of communication. I have never seen as many modes of communication available to us as we have since we work remotely. So we're very flexible in that. So thank you all very much for your time. Big thank you to Suzanne, to Magella and Paul for joining me this evening, and also to Tricia. And thank you to you for giving us your time. I know evenings are precious, and we really appreciate that. And we hope you found this session useful. So thank you all very much. And we look forward to welcoming you as an adult learner very soon to NUI Galway. Thank you very much and good night. Thank you.
Bye-bye.